So how do they define PTSD? Because there's got to be many layers or many levels of that, right? So if you're saying it's post-traumatic stress disorder, like what makes it a disorder? Like obviously you've experienced stress, obviously you've seen trauma, you've obviously been in war and combat. How do they define PTSD?
It's a questionnaire. So they, just like many things in the military or in the system, it's based off a questionnaire and guidelines. So if you get too many answers on the questionnaire wrong, then you'll be labeled as somebody who has PTSD.
Like what kind of questions?
But it's very subjective. It's, have you been to combat? Yes. Okay, now we're getting deeper down the funnel or the rabbit hole. Have you killed anybody in combat? Yes. Have you had nightmares? So here's a subjective one. Andy Stump talked about this as well on his podcast. But if you say, have you had nightmares? I have dreams. And when I have dreams, I'm with the boys going to do what we did. We're going on helicopters, going and killing bad guys. Combat for me in those dreams isn't a terrifying thing. It's like where I wanted to be. It was fun. It wasn't difficult. It was easier than civilian life. I don't have to worry about bills and drama with relationships. All these things, it's very simplified. Okay, well that's subjective because you're saying you have dreams about combat. That's nightmares. Because there's not a part on the answer that could say, hey, he's having dreams, but they're not night terror dreams about combat and dying. So he could be labeled somebody who has PTSD because of that. Like I have buddies who answer the questionnaire who don't have PTSD. I don't think I have PTSD. Do I have transitional issues? Certainly. The analogy is like a dog. If a dog in the military serves for 20 years, and then you take that dog who's used to biting people's asses, sniffing out bombs, getting blown up in combat, training as a protocol, and then you transition them to the living room and it's your house pet, that shit's not going to work. There's going to be a transitional period. Give me a buffer. Give me some time to kind of unscrew my systems, get back to a normal protocol that's civilian life, and then question me. But they're questioning these guys right after they get out, and of course they're going to be fucked up. Of course they're going to be all screwed up. And legitimately, some guys have PTSD. They've been blown up in the one moment, but most of the guys that I know, Jack Hart, Tim Kennedy, all these guys that I serve with at pretty high levels, we don't have PTSD. We profoundly enjoyed our experience. There's nothing traumatic. I'm not shivering underneath my blanket, worried, concerned about war. I'm actually more having nightmares about missing out on those kind of efforts with guys that I serve with who are, certainly still serving.